Hello and welcome to the Awaken Feminine podcast. I'm your host, 𝐓𝐿, and today I have a beautiful lady who's very near and dear to my heart, Therese Skelly, back on the show. Welcome back, Therese.
I'm thrilled to be here, darling.
I'm so excited.
This is our second journey together, right? Our second podcast.
So it is our second podcast together. And yeah, like I said, Therese has been my mentor, gosh, quite a few years now. And yeah, I call her my fairy godmother. So I'm going to let her introduce herself so you know a bit more about her. So Therese, can you tell us where you're joining us from and also just a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes. So I'm in sunny, glorious, right now, Scottsdale, Arizona, US. We might not think it's so glorious in about a month when it's 110, but I like the sunshine. So I'm a native, I have the sun damage to prove it, but I love the sunshine. So I always feel blessed because it's really bright and sunny most of the days. And so what I do, as you know, my dear, so I started my career as a psychotherapist, and that stays with me and informs a lot of the work because I understand the psychological and the emotional and the behavioral aspects. Then in 2001, I went to life coaching and then to business coaching. So I initially blended the mindset and the marketing and the business and the mindset piece of it. And a few years ago, as you know, I started knowing that I started knowing stuff. And I'm like, wait, they didn't teach me this in the therapy school. And so what I realized is that I'm so blessed to have just like ninja-like intuition. So the work I do, I work with service-based business women, generally high achievers who basically know that they're the problem, right? Like you're smart, you know what you should do. And there's something on the inside that's preventing that. And so I use my blend of intuition and strategy and psychology to flip it and then walk you into the great future that we can create for you.
Mm. And I can attest because, I've worked with Therese.
You can. Did I say that pretty well? Yeah. It's kind of like, so.
Yeah, exactly. That was very succinct and perfectly describes what you do. So thank you for sharing that.
Perfect.
Now, Therese, I know since we last spoke that, you're kind of like changing your business a little bit as well. And things have, in your personal life, there's some, shifts and change as well. So can you share with us what is your current definition of the awakened feminine in this chapter of your life?
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. So the awakened feminine is a woman who is aware of her own sovereignty. And I feel like, at least for me, the last number of years with what happened with the country and COVID and the pandemic and the lockdowns and all that, I think a lot of women woke up and said, oh, no, wait a second, hold on. And so sometimes that means we have to go against a narrative, or sometimes that means we have to find our own truths, our own sovereignty, right? And the feminine is, people that can think the feminine is all flowy. And I think the feminine is also a hell no to certain things, right? It's really beautiful discernment and discriminating and like, oh, this is how I want to be. This is how I want to play. This is the best use of my gifts. And it being really protective of your essence and your time and your energy. So I think that's what I would say that. Now I'm a heck of a lot strong in my more feminine. I'm like, don't be messing with mama. So I think that's changed a little bit for me as well.
Yeah, as you were talking, it just made me have a think about me as well, in that when I step more into my feminine, it's the sovereignty of doing things. You might be doing things that might be similar to what you were doing before, but you're doing it because you know who you are, and you will say no to things that you might usually say yes to because, I should fit in and, be like everyone else.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Well, the work we did with you, 𝐶𝐞𝐫𝐞 is like one of my great success stories. And the work we did with 𝐶𝐞𝐫𝐞 wasn't like, hey, 𝐶𝐞𝐫𝐞, here's your plan. Here's the plan I'm devising. The work you do with 𝐶𝐞𝐫𝐞 is, what's the truth that you know? Like if you just follow your own guidance, everything works. But we as women have been trained to subordinate ourselves or outsource our knowing. And so the awakened feminine is, oh, I know what I know. And I have the courage and the conviction, just because it takes a heck of a lot of fierceness and boundaries. Because, when you decide to take time off, people are like, what is wrong with you? Right. And so you have to have, that's like that very protective, like, I know what I'm doing. Don't be messing. Right. So I think I love that, because you're the embodiment of it. You just listen to your guidance and it magic works. Right.
Thank you. Well, I needed your
Yeah.
your guidance to help me listen to my guidance. So yeah, I'm
Well, that's
just so
okay. I just gave you
grateful for you.
permission. I just held the space to get you in the flow of that. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I have to say, I've worked with like lots of coaches as well before Therese, and they were all like, here's your plan, this is what you do. And it never worked for me. And also, a lot of
Mhm.
coaches out there also kind of shame you when, like, you are following, but it
Yeah.
doesn't work. It's like you don't want it bad enough, or
Yeah.
like, there's something that makes you feel bad. Whereas
Oh,
working
okay.
with Therese was probably the first time that I went, oh, I can do things my
Yeah.
way, and there's no
Yeah.
100-step plan that I need to
Yes.
follow. So yeah, so that it's
We really
magical.
have to deconstruct how we show up, because women have been trained that will follow the leader, follow the guidebook. Here's the rules. Here's the latest marketing formula. And even if your body is screaming, like I was working with a woman today and she's like, somebody told me that I should do a collaboration. And what's wrong with me that I don't want to? I go, feel into your body. And she goes, oh, hell no. And I'm like, there we go. Like, it doesn't matter what people say, because your body holds all the information you need. But we've been trained to like, well, hold on, is that rational? What about the ROI? And I got to blah, blah, as opposed to, what does my body want? Because there's a knowing in here, right? It's so easy once you get in that habit. It takes a lot of trust to be able to do that, though, I will say.
Yes, definitely. And listening to your body was not something
Yeah.
that I consciously knew how to do. I think I subconsciously do
Mm-hmm.
listen, but then when I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
made aware, I was like, oh, okay, that makes so much more sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There's the answers in there. What? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's cool.
yeah. Now, Therese, when I asked you to fill out the questionnaire, the topic that you chose for us is what you don't know will mess up your business. And I was having a giggle when I saw that, because I'm like, yep.
Of course. Of course. Of
Because,
course.
just right now we're talking about how most of the time you get your 10-step plan, 100-step plan. And if you follow all these, then you'll, you succeed. And then when I started working with you, it's like, no, let's do it 𝐞𝐞𝐫𝐞's way. And I think my expectations was like, I'll come in, even if you don't give me a 10-step plan, it would be like, okay, this is what you do, da 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 da. But I was working a lot more on my personal shirt than any business stuff.
What?
And that was
I
the
know.
magic source. So can you share a bit about why this topic is so important? And if you have a personal story that you'd
Yes.
like to share, as to, why,
Oh,
then yeah,
oh my
please
gosh.
share it as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah. Well, I've client story, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So, okay. So most of us, let me back up. 95% of our everything that is running us is in the subconscious. We don't have access to, right? So 5%. So literally you walk around your day, you're parenting, you're living your life, and 95% of you is just on autopilot from sometimes your history, your ancestral limiting beliefs, your past experiences, perhaps past lives, if you believe in that. So this whole reservoir of stuff, right? But we only think that we're little 5%. So I just say, basically you get to go, oh, I think I'll wear this shirt today. Then you're kind of screwed for the rest of the day, unless you have a deep awareness of like making the unconscious conscious. Okay. So most people, we are trained to take the easy road. We are trained to go, tell me what to do. I just want a strategy. What's selling? And I've been so guilty of this. Like we all like, well, what's selling? What should I sell? I need to market. What's the price? What's to do it? Right. And for sometimes that can work. But what I know is most people do not need more strategy. Like, you're the perfect client for me. You had advanced degrees, you had success. You didn't need somebody to go, here's how to make an opt-in, right? You didn't need the baby basics at the beginning. You needed, like, why in the heck are you abandoning yourself? Why in the heck are you working your ass off? And XYZ. And those are not necessarily your stories, but that's what happens for people. It's just like, we think we need strategy. We think we need a plan. What we need to know is what's in that reservoir of stuff that is going to, like, be the swamp monsters that come out and get us. And so I was kind of laughing when I did the topic. I'm like, I don't know. There's shit down there that you better look at, right? And it's kind of my genius. My genius is to go, boof, that's where it is. And so I'll give you just one. Can I give a client example? I'm sure a personal one will come, but a client example. Or I could give a personal example too, but client example. So I was working with a woman who was having, like, wretched visibility issues, right? So we were because I help the women grow their businesses, get out there, get their voice in the world, get their messaging landed. And no matter what, she just was like, I don't know what it is. I'm like terrified. And it didn't make sense because she was a go-getter. She was young and like, I'll do anything. Boom, boom. She was investing heavily in business coaching, and she was doing all the things. And she comes to me and she's like, something's wrong with my visibility. So what I do, if I can find it, I have a pendulum. And what I do is I can just access, I'll put it right here, the pendulum. I can access through my intuition, literally the exact place. So I said, oh, okay. And I'm sorting in my head and I say, what was going on in your mom's life? And she's like, what? I said, that's where the origin of it was. And she said, oh my God, my mom lived in a war-torn country where literally to go outside was unsafe. And in fact, her brother was taken by the opposing army. And so it's like, well, there you go. That's what we call an epigenetic thing. She wasn't even alive, but it came through the DNA. It came through. So it was living in her how unsafe it was to be seen. Right? There's no coach in the world that would have found that but me. And I know I'm being, like, shameless, but most people are going, well, you don't want it badly enough. You have to do more cold calls. You got to get more visibility. But if there's something in the unconscious or subconscious that is like, oh, hell no, because someone could be killed. No matter what you do today, no matter how hard you work, you're not going to get it. So that's an example of those are the things that I work with that, like, yeah, it's going to hurt you. And when I can pop it out, poof, right? Then it's like, oh my gosh, she had access. Then she could get the clarity. She could download here's what I say, here's my market. Then she could take off. She never would have taken off because of that subconscious block.
Yeah. I love that. And I love what you do because I've had first-hand experience, and it is half the time I'll come on my coaching call with you and then you'll be like, okay, what's happening? I'll tell you. And it's like, okay, what are we working on today? I'm like, I don't really know. And then you start your thing out and then you're like, what about this? I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's right. Yeah. Because it's cocky, like, it's all energy, right? And I'm just riding the energy. I'm just literally, it's a gift from God. I'm just guided to, it's not like, well, we're on module 2 where we're talking about your messaging, right? We can talk about messaging later, but I follow the energy to it so I can get you free. So can I tell you some things that if you don't know will hurt you?
Yes, please.
Here's the first one. So I work mainly with service-based business owners and mainly with women. And so the number one thing that will hurt you if you don't know it is your value. So many women do not own their value. And to me, this is the money piece. I teach selling. I have all kinds of conversations with women who have a real hard time going, yeah, you should hire me. And so many people walk in and they're focused on the strategic and the tactical and how to set up a business and what to do and market. And they focus on all the outside. And then they're like, why am I not getting the money I want? Or how come the clients are not right the match for me? And so the biggest thing I work with is your value, your value. And so there's so many reasons why that is. A lot of it is culture. A lot of it is what you have inherited. A lot of it is what messages were you told, right? There's, I had a former client. There were two sisters in her family. And this client was, well, you're the pretty one. Your sister's the smart, successful one, but you'll just go get a husband because you're pretty. Okay, what does that do to a girl's sense of value? Right? And so there's so many messages out there that you don't even know that are just eating away at you. And so that's the question. If you want to say, how do I make more money? Increase your sense of value. Understand what you bring. Like, you paid me X amount of money, but I could say that the results and the rewards were, 10 times what you paid, like just in terms of transactional, but also confidence building, better relationships, just like, and when you focus on the transformational aspects that you create versus well, I charged X for 5 months or 6 months or 3 months, like, you know what I mean? When you focus on the transaction, you don't see the value. Focus on what's the transformation. You want to say anything about that?
Mm. Well, that was me also when when I came to Therese. And yeah, for me, yeah, definitely. I think even for me, like teaching share trading, like, and also I'm about to relaunch it, but previously, like my clients, it was all about, can I really do this? Can I really make money by pressing a
Yeah.
few buttons? Right.
Yes.
So I also see in my clients where it is that, like, whether I'm valuable enough to, even like, it might not be charging the money, is like, can I make money a certain way without actually having to hustle and work hard? And I'm all about, as Therese knows, not working hard, because every time I work hard, it doesn't work, which totally was like a brain fuck. I can swear on my own podcast. It was a complete brain fuck for me
Yes, you
because
can. It's your show. That's right.
I was, all my life I've been working hard. Like when my parents had the restaurant when I was little, I'll be working hard there. When I got to uni and, went into pharmacy, I worked hard there. So when I started my business, I'm like, I just need to work hard. And I'm like, I'm working very hard, but nothing seems to be happening. What is wrong? And yeah, and then, obviously working with Therese has helped immensely with me understanding, that's not my operating system.
That's it. That's it. And you knew your operating system, but to give yourself permission, right? Because again, like I use the word deconstruct. We literally have to deconstruct. This isn't the more is better, just hustle and neglect your kids and go, 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 go. No, we don't have to have those lives, right? And so that's what you have to know. Can I receive money in a way that is honoring to me and my family, my clients? Because we get to choose. We're our own business people, right? That's the cool part.
Yeah. And I mean, when I started working Therese, I ended up working a lot less, but then making a lot more money. So, you know,
It works. Yeah.
yeah. And
And
it was
exactly.
for
But you were,
me,
yeah.
yeah, sorry. Yeah. And for me, it was all working on my stuff rather than business stuff, which for me was also like,
Mhm.
what?
I know. So I have this saying, you can't take your life out of your business. And again, most people think they need strategy. And I really believe business success is 95% energy mastery, emotional mastery, psychological mastery, like a mastering your stuff. And then, oh yeah, and I got to send some emails, right? Like I got to know how to package this stuff because most people break down in the energetic, not the strategic aspect. So it's kind of weird because most people, they'll pay boatloads for the latest, what's the latest funnel hack? But you say, you really need to work in your psychology. Like, okay, sunshine, that's really the thing though. I mean, Kage, I've had people I had a client, and this was years ago. This was probably 15 years ago. She had spent $40,000. She didn't really have, right? She got a new website. She got branded by a branding guru. She got new photography. She got top copywriter. She got a marketing guru. No ROI. Could not convert the thing. And she comes to me and she's like, what in the hell? Okay, listen to this story. Her mother, when this client was in utero, the husband died in Vietnam. Okay, so imagine that. So the mom's pregnant with this client, husband's killed in Vietnam. The mom was shattered and she never recovered. So my client's whole life was taking care of the mom. So her role was, I can't shine. I'm only as good as the people I'm taking care of. And so literally she's like, holy shit, I paid $40,000. It never occurred to me to focus on my mindset. But that was in there, locked in, pre-birth, right? And when I freed it, then she could get the visibility. Then she could, and like her whole history, she worked in corporate, always supporting people, always being the back of the room, being the second. And now she's on her own business, and it's like, oh. But it was never safe for her to shine and share and be the front of the room, because what if her mother needed her? It would be selfish to take herself away. So that's the kind of stuff that people make the mistake of not attending to. This will hurt you, hurt her to the tune of $40,000 15 years ago. Think about that today. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much inflation, how much it would be worth today, but it would be a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
For sure. And, as you were talking, I was just thinking, the strategy part is the easy part, right? So,
So
for most people,
really
they don't want to look at their stuff, as you call it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because even I remember talking to one of my girlfriends, and I know her whole history and stuff. I'm like, you need to look at your relationship with your mom and all that stuff. And she's like, I don't want to open that can of worms. And I went, that is what, if you want to move on and actually get better and feel better, that is it. But sometimes it's also people are aware and they don't want to work on it either.
It's hard. It's, there was a book in the olden days called The Road Less Traveled. And this is The Road Less Traveled, because it takes a really courageous person. Like I always say you should come with a warning label. My warning label is, I'm not for everybody. We're going to go deep, and I'll love the shit out of you, but we're going to go deep. And 𝐞𝐞𝐞 can attest, there may be tears. I don't try. It just happens, right?
But every session.
This is okay, all right, you're scaring them now. This, though, is where the freedom is, because what could happen is you could pay a bunch of money for Facebook ads. Now, I will say there's an art and a science to marketing. There are people that are like, they've got it dialed in, what time you send and what headlines. Like, there's millions of dollars spent on the science of marketing. That's clearly not my gig, right? Even that, you could spend thousands of dollars, but if you have something inside of you that is like, I don't deserve success, or who would I be, or oh my gosh, what if I made more money than my husband, or what if there's so much subconscious that is like it's like you push the gas and then it's like brake, 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 brake. And if you don't know that, all those thousands of marketing dollars aren't going to work. So most people, they like, what's wrong with our society? Everybody looks outside of themselves for the answers. And we're the crazy ones that are like, hello, it's inside. It's inside. You might not know it, but I'm the guide. I can find it. Like, you knew your operating system, and you used to say, this is weird, but the less I work, the more I make. And I'm like, boom, do it. That was not rockets. I was not genius moment for me. That was like, well, then get in alignment with what you know, right? But most people would be like, well, that's crazy, because we have the old model, right?
So we've talked about value. So what's another thing that people don't know?
Oh my gosh, so many. Who you have to be. What? Because most of us, start a business and we focus again, I have to get my website and figure out what's my client avatar, what are my prices. So we do a lot of external creation, which you have to. I like what I call inner marketing, right? And so who do you have to be is literally the like embodiment aspect of it. Okay, so let's say I want to serve people like 𝐞𝐞𝐞. I want to serve high achievers. I want to serve women that are really fast decision makers, super smart, have a spiritual component, willing to go deep, doing great work in the world. But my mindset is like, oh, I'm just making this up. Okay. Oh, she's more educated than I am. Oh, she made more money than I did. Oh, I should only work with, see what I mean? Like, again, that's not true for me. But if you have any little glitch in there, it won't happen. So the shift is, who do I have to be? So let's say it's either who your client is or what your income level is or what your program. Who do I have to be the steward of this work? Who do I have to be the embodiment of the one that can deliver this message and get the results? And most of us don't know this. We just think, well, these are my rates and these are my packages. And we work on Zoom and you'll get a replay later, right? We don't think about, I have to be fucking fierce. I have to be so convinced of the work I do that when 𝐞𝐞𝐞's falling down and 𝐞𝐞𝐞's not believing, I'm going, I believe, I will believe for you, right? So because I've done this for so long, I've crafted this who I have to be. And there are moments, I'm pretty sure last week I was like, oh, I suck, I should sell shoes, right? We all have moments where we forget our beingness. Because sometimes, I had a $30,000 plumbing repair. Like my house was torn up. I couldn't live here. It's just like the tiles destroyed. I'm like, what in the hell? I didn't expect it. Not a fun thing. Pain in the ass. And so I took a hit. I was very destabilizing, right? And I was like, okay, I'm supported. I'm blessed. Okay, I can live at my aunt's house. Okay, I got the money. Okay, but it really like. And so when you take those hits, you're going to be like, life is hard and I sort of suck today. And so FYI, it's normal. It's normal. But then you have to get back to, wait, okay. Get back to yourself, Therese. Oh, that's right. I was the one that helped 𝐞𝐞𝐞 do that. Yeah, I'm a badass, right? You have to really own that sense of being. So if you don't know who you have to be, and I don't mean credentials, because here's what's going to happen. Most people are like, I'm not enough, so I better get another certificate, or I better no. It's the inner qualities. It's the way you hold the presence, the way you take care of your clients. That's the work.
I love that. That is so true.
Thank you, darling.
When you go into work with a coach or, whoever you're working with, just knowing that they are able to be that rock for you is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're not judgmental and they will just love you. And for
Right.
sure, Therese does
Right.
all that. I've been in a group coaching container where I remember very distinctly this male, not that, is all male, there are female coaches who are like that as well, but
Yeah.
this young male coach was saying in a group coaching call to one of his clients, you're not getting the results because you aren't good enough. If you were good enough, you wouldn't be here with me. And I was just like, whoa, dude.
Oh, sweet God. Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
I think he was saying it to all of us, like saying you guys are basically all not good enough because if you were good enough, you wouldn't need him. But it's like, okay.
Wow. Yes, stay away. That's shame. That's an abusive practice.
Yeah. So for me, it's just so important, like, to find people that really feel in alignment. And can I share the story of how I started working with you, Therese? Yeah.
Certainly.
So I remember I met Therese through a recommendation. And at that time, I had met another lady who is also amazing. but I really like pretty much as soon as I met Therese, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to work with her. But it was like, I think I had 3 people at that time that came into my life just all at the same time. It was, I didn't
Mm,
ask
mhm,
for them, but they kind of came in
mm,
as well. And I said to Therese, okay,
yeah.
can you, like, I remember I had taken a weekend away for myself without the kids or my husband. And I went, okay, I'll get back to you afterwards. And for
Mhm,
me, it was very much like, going through, okay, who did I have the most heart connection with, and who felt the safest for me to work with.
mm,
And
beautiful.
I was journaling, I was doing my pendulum and pulling cards and all the things, and each time it was Therese, and I was like, okay, and that's how I work with Therese, and so glad. And like I said, I put in my
Mm,
description when I announced you, is like my fairy godmother.
that's right. Love it. I love it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a client. She's from New Zealand, and she's like, okay, there's a coach here that charges 50% less, but I have to work with you because boom, 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 same thing,
Mm,
right? So it's not a price thing. You shouldn't do it based on dollars. It really is alignment with your values, right? Will this person honor me or tell me I'm a piece of shit? Like,
like the
I
coach I
never
had
will because I've
before.
had that done to me. The coach, yeah, we had those. We've all had those. And so, another thing that will bite you if you don't know it, darling, is where you stop. I want to share that
Mm,
because we all have like, oh shoot, there I fall in the hole, right? And so think about that. Where do you stop? Where is your breakdown point? And that's not because you're a lazy loser. That's not because you wake up on Wednesday and go, oh, today's the day I'll sabotage. It's going to happen today. Like nobody consciously screws themselves up, right? But there's always this place. And it's maybe when you have to like ask for bigger fees or do that like you really write an email like going, oh no, you should work with me. Like there's always a place where you're going to get pulled under. And so my work is making the subconscious conscious because when you have awareness, then you have choice, right? Um, and I'll share a personal story with you. This is kind of a funny one. So I created wait, what did I do? I was doing marketing writing. So I had done a webinar and I'm going to do a webinar. So I had like a email follow-up sequence. Now here's what you have to know. I love to write. I'm a really good marketing copywriter. Not a problem. Like it's easy peasy, right? It's not like, oh my God, I have to do spreadsheets. Jesus, like this for me, easy peasy, no big deal. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Just knock out those emails. And I didn't do it. So another day goes by, another day, weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by. And I'm like, what in the hell? So then I'm like, schedule it. You got 4 hours, right? Freaking 5 emails. Good hell, woman. And so I'm like, okay. And I sit down and I'm like, God damn it. Like, because I kept failing in myself. I kept stopping doing the thing that I desired and could do. This, again, it was an enjoyable thing that I wanted to do. It did not suck. I could not make myself do it. So here's one of my techniques that I use. I sat down. Well, number one, I'm like, oh, hark, perhaps there's a subconscious block here because you're not able to do it. Like you're totally sabotaging. Huh, use your tools, use your tools. So what I did is I basically sat down and said, show me the part that is stopping me from doing what I want. Okay, so I'm calling up this part. And 𝐲𝐞𝐞, this is so precious. So I believe that the parts of us that stop us are all trying to protect us. So what y'all don't know is I went through a lot of years of hell with my son. He is sober now, but it was 7 years of agony, overdosing, drug addiction, mental illness, in and out of hospitals, and just horrific stuff. Again, thank God he's sober now, right? But I went through a lot more than most people have. I mean, it was really difficult. And so I'm ready to do these emails. And this part comes and it said, you suffered so much. You were so exhausted with Danny. Maybe just watch Ted Lasso and eat some gluten-free cookies. Just, you shouldn't have to work so hard. And then this adorable part said, and you're going to be 65 and people retire. I'm like, whoa, back off. But do you see, that was a protective part. It wasn't some little asshole in the inside of me trying to sabotage. It was like, oh, it was protecting me. And so I was stopping and I had no idea why. I didn't want to stop. I wanted to go. And I was literally for 3 weeks hijacked until I found that part. And then I'm like, "Ah, that is, oh my gosh, you're so loving me. And you know what? I'm okay now. Danny's all right. I'm good. And I really want to do this. And no, I'm not retiring. I like to work, right? So, but that's an example. If you don't know what pulls you down or slows your process, or, makes you, what they call analysis paralysis, or you freeze, if you don't know why, you're hitting walls. So I don't know if you want to speak to that, but I think that's a really important thing. Where do you stop? What is it? How do identify it so you can grow and move forward?
Mm. Yeah. I remember when we were working, it was me, and it's my business self and my mum self. I remember talking to those parts of me
Yes. Yes.
because it was that, well, I felt like my children were hindering me from success. So, those different parts, but I'm like, but I'm doing my business so I can spend more time with my children. And it's just, the brain
Yeah.
fuck that you give yourself. It's like,
Right.
how does this even
Right.
make sense?
Right.
You're like, oh, my children are like hindering me. But if I didn't have children, I wouldn't even probably have gone down this path. Who knows? So I remember just, having that session with you and just
The
bringing
parts
those
for it.
parts
Mm-hmm.
together to talk to each
Mm-hmm.
other and to understand. And that, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's that awareness, and you kind of go, oh, all right. I guess it's like when you have if you have a disagreement with someone and you can guess
Mm-hmm.
all the
Mm-hmm.
things, but when you actually sit down and talk, it might be something completely insignificant. It was like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we're fighting because of this kind of
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's yeah. It,
Or, well,
oh,
like in your case, so what happens is there's the mom self that's like, you know what, everything for the kids, 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 kids. And then the work self is like, but they're interfering, right? And so what you have to do is you have to negotiate, just like an argument. Okay, well, how about if I agree that I won't work after X? How about if okay, that's cool, right? Like, so it's literally, when you deal with the parts work, that's the way out, right? So
yeah. Yeah. And it was really, for me, it was
nice.
setting boundaries around my work
Mm-hmm.
times,
Your
which
time.
I'm
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
mostly very good at now. Sometimes, when I get a bit, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, actually, I need to stop. But mostly I'm very good. Like, I don't
Yeah.
work once the kids are home, those kind of things. And it's
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
definitely a lot more relaxing for me, where I'm not stressing out like, oh, the kids are
Mm.
gonna. And even like the other night when I had, it was a kind of like a call to meet a potential podcast guest. And towards the end, my
Mm-hmm.
little one woke up and walked in. Whereas in the past, I would have been like freaking out and going, oh my God, but now I'm like, oh yeah, my little
Yeah.
one's woken up.
Yeah.
And, the lady was like, oh,
Yeah.
she's so cute, hi, kind of thing.
Right. Right. Nice. Nice. Well, again,
Yeah.
so what we did with you is we made the unconscious conscious. Then you're like, oh, there's these two warring parts. And when you have awareness, you have choice. Okay, this part wants this part fears this, work it out. Boom. Then you have a
Mm,
solution. Then you are in charge. So you're not being pulled back by something you don't even know is in the energy.
yeah. Whew. What
Oof.
else do people not know that you've seen in your clients?
I feel like your big why is a really important thing, because it's easy to be defeated, right? Like, especially when you're in your own business. It's one thing if you have a job, you get a paycheck and you just show up. And I'm not denigrating people that have jobs, but I work with women that they are the business. Like, you got to be selling every day. You got to be like, we do all things. There is no like, right? And there are days when it can be really defeating, or a sale didn't come through, or your income dips, or God, what works last year isn't working this year, or I don't really understand what happened, or, oh, it's the summer and it got slow, or it's the holiday. Like, and it's really easy to get super defeated. It's easy to, again, this taps also into the own your value thing. And what I always know is if you know your why, most people, if they have a big enough why, they're willing to transcend their small self. They're willing to transcend their, like, oh, I'd be afraid. Like, so one of the things I say, I just want you to feel, like, if you're listening, I want you to feel this. Imagine that somebody is literally praying for you. And I don't mean like, oh, may all beings be blessed. I don't mean like the sentient kind of prayer. I mean the like, I gotta get help. I don't know. I don't know how to, I can't keep going. Like what, imagine if somebody is suffering and they're laying their head down and they're like, God, you gotta send me somebody. And what if it's you? What if you literally on a soul level are assigned that you are the one? Would you go, oh, but I don't want to bother them with another email? Would you go, oh, I'd hate to ask. So I always say, if you had the cure for cancer, would you hold back? Would you be like, I know I sent an email Tuesday, but gang, it's freaking cancer. We're curing it, right? And yet we get like, oh, so if you are super clear with your big why, it will inform everything. It will get you out of bed. It will allow you to be bold. It will allow you to just move forward. And I will tell you this. So here's personal stuff. My big why changed a lot. And so when I first started, I was improving energy because I had just gone through divorce and I'm like, he pulled the rug. Oh, no man's going to do, I was like, and I was wildly codependent. Okay. So we have proving energy and codependent. Wah, wah. Anybody relate? Which meant I overgave. I was like, what else do you need? What else do you need? And can I do something else? You need this. I was just so like, I had to be loved by everybody. I had to be super special. I was like, so I didn't realize up until recently that I'm like, oh, the fuel for my thing, my movement was I have to save all those poor women. And then I went through all this stuff with Danny. And then I'm like, fuck those poor women. I'm so exhausted. I'm in just rehab and recovery myself. Like, I don't give two shits about working. I'm so tired. My nervous system is fried to the nth degree. I am just chasing joy. I'm playing with my partner on the weekend. I'm walking the dog. I don't give two fucks about work. And then I've swung the complete other way. And I'm like, hark. I need some fire. I need something to get me out of like, oh my. And I was seeing my clients, but I was aware of this absence of a why. But my why had shifted, right? Because it was a codependent, it was kind of an unhealthy why. And then the why was all about recovery for me, just getting my nervous system, getting my life back, getting stabilized again after my 7 years with Danny. And then now I'm like, okay, boom. I can't let women suffer. I can't let women that have life stuff go through what I went through. Now my big why is like, I'm back. Now I have energy, right? And I can fast track stuff for you. And no coach will ever have to tell you again that you're a loser, right? And so that's the why changes, but you need to have a relationship with a why, because there are days when it's like, oh, how do I keep doing this? Oh, that's right. It's bigger than me. It's a calling. I'm here for a reason. I said yes to this for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So you want to say anything
that.
about that? I know I just gave so much personal stuff, but
yes,
I'm good with that.
And I love it when my guests share personal stuff because, people can relate to it as
it's
well.
real. Yeah. You have to be
real.
authentic.
Yeah. And it also makes, it also I kind of know your story, but it also, for me, when I listen to podcasts and people give personal stories, I'm like, oh, okay, that's why they do this, or, it makes so much more sense.
Yes.
And this question kind of came through, because I think this is a really big one. How do people find their why? Like, how do the people find their real why? Because there's
Mm.
I find people don't usually know how to find their why, or maybe their why is not really their why.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great question. So, what motivates you? Like, why do you want to help women with financial freedom? Right? So, literally just ask, why does that matter? Okay, so I want to have women be really wildly, boldly self expressed. Why? Because I was shamed, because I had to fight for my voice. And because if women are really self expressing, like, see what I mean? So, sometimes it comes from our own suffering and our own overcoming. No, probably all the time, or a lot of times, right? Like, I went through this, so you don't have to. I went through this and I know the process to the other side, right? So sometimes that's a why. Sometimes, you just have like an affinity, like, oh my gosh, let's say it's like animal rescue. Let's say you've just been like a crazy dog or cat lady your whole life. So it's like, I've always been this way. Like, I just have to do it. Like, you can't not do the work, right? And so you just want to sort out, like you say, is it mine or is it somebody else's? And like I demonstrated, sometimes it could be for the wrong reason, right? Not there's no wrong, but sometimes I back up. For me, it was filling a codependent void, right? Because I had been rejected and abandoned in marriage. I had to make sure everybody loved me by being just the greatest little coach in the world and doing everything for everybody. I'm like, oh gosh, that was exhausting. I burned myself out. And so sometimes it's like, who would you be without that? If we didn't do that, who are you? And can you imagine going to the end of your life not doing it? And if you're like, yeah, I don't have to do it, it's not a very strong why. You have to be like, oh, and the goal is to have fire on it. I call it fire. And now sometimes when you have a lot of life struggles, you're gonna have little baby embers, and that's okay. But you want to be like, oh, I'm so passionate, like that just gets me out of bed. And so it's just ask the questions, ask the questions. I don't, does that answer it? I don't, I just
Yeah.
feel,
No,
I don't
I
know.
think,
It's, there's not,
yeah,
I don't have a 3-step process.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. No, and
okay.
I don't, yeah, I think it's very personal for everyone how they find their why, but that's very helpful for people who are like, they're like, oh, I'm doing this, but why am I doing this? To, start getting that process of
Yeah.
sorting whether it is their own why or whether it's someone else's, because
Hmm.
I know, like going to pharmacy school when it wasn't my why, it wasn't my
Right.
desire, even though
Right.
I thought it was all this time.
Right.
And then I went, oh, actually, it
Yeah.
was kind of
Yeah.
like drummed into me that, it's a good
Hmm.
profession
Hmm.
for women
So,
because it's flexible and is respectable and you get paid well. So there's like all those reasons, but
right.
it's not like a, soul calling where I'm like, I want to be a
Hmm.
pharmacist because, XYZ. It wasn't that. It was like, oh yeah, because
Yes.
I was told these things. Whereas now I'm like, I want to help women,
Mm.
share their stories and have financial freedom because, I know what it's like when you
Yes.
lose money and you don't have, what it is, what you want, and you have all these things that you want to do. And money, unfortunately, in our
Mm.
society, we're a monetary society, it's helps us, gives us a lot more choice to do things when we do have money.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, so it's
Absolutely.
just
Yeah.
being able to sort through that. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Well, I love what you
And
said is one of the things when I teach about this stuff, it's like, is it really yours? Is it somebody else's? Is it to compensate for something, or is it something you think you should do?
mm,
Right. And what I know is years ago, somebody asked me, what's your big why? And I said, and I've never done this yet, but I said, came out, I want to help 50,000 business owners become $500,000 earners, right? Small business. And I used to have this one person that was my avatar, this one businesswoman that was one of my assistants. And I'm like, gotta help somebody like her. She's a mom. She's the breadwinner. Oh, she struggles so much. I want her to have freedom with money. And then I went, wow, I should want to end world hunger. What an asshole I am that I want to give people money. I'm like, oh, I'm just judging that. Oh my God, why don't I want to work with the homeless or poverty? What's wrong? But I'm like, no, no, no. When women have money, when I can empower women for money, they can leave bad relationships, they teach their daughters things, and the economy flourishes. So, but I had that initial like, oh, yours is so sexy because you want to bring water to the nations in Africa. Right, right. So watch that part of you that compares, because maybe your why is, I'm going to show up at work every day and I want to light the room up. I want to make one person feel good today. That could be a big enough why. You don't know what difference you make. We don't have to compare the scale or the scope. So don't get in that trap, right? Just follow it. Just like, oh yeah, that's what I do. I just show up and make a difference. That's my why. Good enough. It's perfect. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
I love that. And I'm having a giggle because I've had the same thought process where I'm like, I should
Oh,
be ending world hunger and helping the homeless. What am I doing here?
yeah.
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 It's so funny.
It's easy to do. I
Yeah.
know. You're like, oh my.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the time. So I've got one last question for you, Therese.
Okay.
And
Sure.
yeah, I mean, I don't want it to end because I'm like, oh, I want to ask you more
This
questions.
is so lovely. I know.
But this last question is, what would you like our audience to take home with them from our conversation?
Mm. I want them to take one. I'm really big about hope. So part of it is my story. I hope my story has shown you that you can live through a lot of stuff, do great work, take care of your family, take care of yourself, and still make money. You can do that. But the hope part is, you're probably trying to fix the wrong thing. You're probably looking in the wrong place, right? So please know that there's always answers, and there's a way to work. Like 𝐲𝐞𝐞, perfect example. She was working in a way that was not nourishing. It was actually very opposite, right? And there's hope. You literally, here's my tagline: you can have a business that serves your life, makes good money, and brings you joy doing it. And so if you have followed the strategies and you haven't looked at the subconscious, the energetic pieces, that's like ding, ding, ding. It's all here. Here's the jackpot, right? And because so many people, 𝐲𝐞𝐞, have the experience like my client that spent $40,000 and they feel dejected. They feel stupid. They feel like losers. They're ready to give up on themselves. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 just come here. Oh my gosh, let me get the pendulum on you. Boom. We can find it in an instant, right? And so I just want you to have hope, because if you have the desire, it is inevitable. If you have the desire to have a business, the desire to help people, just the fact that you have a desire means the way is there. It's inevitable. You just got to find the right guide to help you get on the right path and how to do it.
Mm, thank you. That's really beautiful. Thank you, Therese, for sharing that. I don't
Sure,
want our
honey.
conversation to end, but yeah, I'm just looking at the time. I know you've got a little gift for, well, not a little gift, but I know you've got a
Crazy.
gift for
Yes.
our audience. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes. I'm really loving 𝐲𝐞𝐞 doing meditations these days. So I have what's called the Business Expansion and Inspiration Bundle. And there's 3 short meditations, like 8, 10, 11 minutes. And, one is a prayer and a blessing for your business. It's so freaking yummy. And the other one is how to get more confidence in your business. So there's 3 short meditations, and it's just like, people love my meditations. They're just, it just really gets to like, seriously, a prayer and a blessing for your business. Who does that? Right. But it's just, I get comments all the time where people are like, oh my God, it reconnected me with why I do this. Thank you. So super easy to consume. And I know you'll give them the link, and reach out if you have any questions, if you want to see what it would be like to work with me. I'm 𝐲𝐞𝐞 approved. So reach
Yes,
out.
big tick of approval. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So if people do want to find out more about you and how they can work with you, where are the best places to find you and connect?
You could go to 𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐢𝐿𝐷.com. Well, to go to my website, 𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐢𝐿𝐷.com, and there's all kinds of, it'll just say, click here to book a call. There's all different other resources and stuff like that, 𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐢𝐿𝐷.com. Or if you just want to email me, thereseskelly.com. So
Perfect.
we'll have a fabulous phone call, and we'll see if I can support you, because I probably can, and it'll be nice if you're willing to go deep and you're okay to feel a little bit loved and maybe some feelings. We'll be good. You'll get great results. I promise.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, �‌𝐞𝐞 approved, and definitely the results just
Nice.
yeah. Thank you so much
Beautiful.
again for coming back on my show. It's been so lovely to have another chat with you here. And I'll have all your details
So
and
good.
the link to the gift in the show notes so people can find you and experience your magic.
Thank you, honey. It was so beautiful to be with you.
Thank
I love you
you.
so much. And thanks for listening,
Love
everybody.
you
Appreciate
too.
that.